Have an early main contender?
I've mostly been playing Scorpion. I like him.
He's a good ninja.
And he's back and forth. And I like the moves that I put on him also.
Oh right, yeah.
So you can.
Oh right, okay. I was about to ask if they had variations from 10 in this. But
yeah, so every character by default has 2 variations, and I think those are the ones that are considered tournament legal.
Okay.
And so those are like the competitive sets that you can choose from when things are serious. When things are not,
and they'll have like different special moves and properties on those moves and stuff.
Yeah, it's really just like generally like special moves. So, for a lot of characters, you go into a menu and there are like 8 or 9 things you can choose to put on your character. And some of them will take up. You have 3 slots to work with. Some moves will take up multiple slots if they're like good or whatever. But and some of them replace existing moves. So like for Kano. By default, he throws his knife. Like he's always done. He's fucking Kano.
Sure is.
But you can replace that with a move that is just straight up called Optic Blast. And he shoots a fucking laser out of his eye.
Is that just cosmetic, or does it actually...
No, it has different properties, okay. and I think the Optic Blast can't be amplified, so you can't spend meter.
Right.
Like, you spend meter on the knife, it throws a second knife.
Sure.
2 knives.
Follow-up.
I know. Is this follow-up? What if there was another knife?
Is this kind of like Call of Duty create a class for Mortal Kombat?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's basically like another take on the system they've been doing for the past couple of games. Like Injustice 2 had something similar in it, and the variants used in Mortal Kombat X were, kind of a more locked down take
I was going to ask, those were not customizable.
No, they're
right?
not.
They're just, you had 3 per character and you just,
exactly.
that's all you had.
Yeah. So this is like that, but what if you could make
flexible.
more? Yeah.
That's cool. That sounds good. And all that is, wait, hang on. Are those tied to drops?
No.
Okay.
That is all. You have all those moves out of the gate.
Okay.
Any kind of gameplay relevant stuff is just there.
Oh, you don't even have to like grind to
you
unlock
don't have
it?
to unlock shit when it comes
XP,
to like gameplay. There's like 0 gameplay.
So it's all just cosmetic stuff that's dropping?
Yeah.
But it
with exception.
Okay.
Because some of the things you can equip. So okay, each character you equip a skin, and that's that's tied to your variant. So when you create your variant, you put a skin on it, and there it is. Then you have 3 items per character you can customize. For Scorpion, it's like his mask, it's his sword, and it's the tip of his spear. And those are cosmetic. But as you play with those things equipped, they gain experience, and slots unlock on the gear.
Huh.
And you earn gems that you can put into those slots that then will have stat bonuses on them. Anything with gameplay.
You ever played Diablo?
Wow,
love Diablo.
That sounds
anything
crazy.
with like a gameplay relevant stat buff. Everything I've seen so far, it has been limited to single player, or AI battles, which you can have AI fight AI. They've been doing that for a while, which is fun.
There's no like unranked online mode that stuff can come into?
No.
Huh.
Because it's stuff like, hey, you do 30% more ice damage, and you're like, okay, don't.
That sounds like that sounds large.
Yeah,
but
or you have 30% ice resist. So if you're fighting a Sub-Zero, or there's this, and some of the bonuses are like AI fight specific. Where like, hey, if you're the 3rd fighter in an AI set, you gain this bonus. And the ones that come into all modes are things, at least the ones that I've seen so far, will be things like, hey, you get 9% more coins at the end of a fight. That's stuff that works across the board everywhere.
Okay. I mean, I started to say like I don't want to play against AI, so I don't care about that stat stuff. But on the other hand,
AI
like,
stuff is not you playing. Well, I
was gonna say like I've never done any of their tower stuff. So is that stuff actually good enough that you would want to do that stuff and use those gems?
The tower stuff is I'm really torn on it, because so it has all the same systems that that Injustice had, and all the same modes, all the same stuff that Mortal Kombat X had. And so the towers are like, hey, you go into these battles and there are different modifiers. So sometimes you'll be fighting a guy and he will have the ability to make missiles appear out of nowhere and hit you.
Right.
And
a lot of wacky, like, game-breaking stuff.
Right. And you can equip some of those. Those are consumable items you can choose to use in the tower also. And one of them is like, and they all like they all reference characters that are not in the game. So one of them is like, Bo Raicho rips a nasty fart and stuns your enemy. So you push up on the right stick and you hear a fart noise, and then your opponent is stunned.
Is that an actual?
That is an actual. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. And so like that stuff is like fun on its face, but I think the way it's implemented is a little frustrating, because you'll hit tower modifiers that are like, you get shocked every 5 seconds. So you drop your combo, you're just stunned, and it's like, that's just not fun.
Yeah.
And so then there are items that you can equip as consumables that are that will nullify or lessen the effects of some of those things. Like, oh, I'm armored, so I can work my way through that, or you know, there's probably some that reduce shock stuff or something. You know, so it feels like this game of like, oh, I need to get all these consumables so that I can nullify the effects of the tower just to make it a normal fight again. Or I can use the consumables to tip it in my favor, and like some of that stuff's just not that fun.
Yeah, that's strange because like immediately when you were kind of showing that off during the quick look and talking about it, I thought of the single player Smash thing where it had stage, but that was all about like you would come up to a stage with low gravity and you could equip a spirit that had high gravity, but these were all things that you unlocked by going down other routes and fighting other guys. Like these weren't one-time consumables. That sounds way less fun, kind of.
And you get so many of them. Like and the other thing is like you hear consumable and you immediately think microtransactions, but you can't buy any of those. They just drop out of the crypt. They drop out of all of these other places. And so it's weird. You know, a lot of people have said a lot about the currency and the grind and stuff in this game already, and they've announced that they are working to change some of that.
Is that the black cloud hanging over the game?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen like one tweet, but like, is it just overly grindy?
It is, and it's overly, you know, and it doesn't even feel overly grindy in a way that pushes you to spend real money, because right now the only thing you can buy are time crystals, which are the premium currency, and then there are 5 items in the shop every day that you can buy with time crystals. And those will be skins, those will be taunts, you know, like pretty meaningful stuff. And that's stuff that you can unlock through normal play. So it's really just kind of, hey, here's an early unlock of this thing if you don't want to. But that's the problem, is like there isn't always a clear path to get what you want because the towers update on timers. So it's like this tower is only here for 12 hours. You need to get here and do it if you want this reward.
Oh, do they tell you what the reward for the tower is up front?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it'll be a case of like, oh, I really want that thing, but there's only an hour left on the timer, and it might take me a little more than that to get it, so I'm not going to be able to get it at all. And then it's going to rotate out, and then hopefully it'll you know, eventually it will rotate back in. And
but
so
you might miss it again.
Yeah, exactly. So like everything is kind of on these timers in a way that like, just if you're just like, I just want the fucking cool scorpion skin that I see here, because you can look at all the skins of the game. Like there's no easy way to get it. Even if you were just like, fuck it, I'll spend the money. Like that's not even an option,
because you have to wait for it to come up in the money shop.
Exactly. So it's like, it just feels like there's no cohesion to their economy. And so they've built a lot of the game. They've reinforced the economy in the game by making a lot of it have server checks and like, you know, you got to be online to get these rewards. And, you know, in the past, they straight up in Mortal Kombat X, like they had the start of this in a way that was like pretty disappointing at the time, where they added easy fatality tokens. And at the time, I remember being like, this is like so against what Mortal Kombat has always been in terms of like, you know, you're trading moves lists and all this other stuff.
Bringing a printout to the arcade.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally did.
But and then it had a thing where it's like, hey, just buy everything in the crypt for $25, which is too much money.
Yeah.
For a thing that's not that hard to, you know, you can unlock everything in the crypt in Mortal Kombat X. You know, you can finish the story, and through normal play, you would get there. But the crypt here, it's a bummer, because I think it's the coolest mode they've made for that stuff in a long time. Like you're running around, like it's a third person thing now.
You like pick a character going in?
No, it's I don't know who this character is. If it's like I'm wondering if it's like Shujinko, who was like the player character. And anyway, I don't know. And like the first thing you get is Shao Kahn's hammer, and then you get Scorpion's spear, and like you use it to navigate Shang Tsung's island to get around, and you see all these cool areas, and you're like, oh, this is this stage from Mortal Kombat
like
1.
Classic areas.
Just the island from the
oh
movie.
my god,
Yeah,
that sounds so exciting.
And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the rewards out of the chests seem random now. It used to be that like you would say,
locked, right?
Here are the 10 chests you definitely want,
because they were all
locked
locked positions, right?
Exactly. And there are chests in locked positions, but also you can relock the chests. You can spend money to rewind time to relock the chests so that you can spend money to open them again
and get something different.
Yeah.
So there's just loot boxes this time.
Kinda
randomized.
I mean, they're loosely randomized, yeah. And
that's not surprising at all. Like that's kind of
well, I mean, the last
but it
crypt
ruins
was...
the last crypt was not that, and this kind of ruins the fun of like I'm gonna get everything there is out of the crypt.
Oh yeah. I don't disagree. I'm just not at all shocked that they went this direction.
Yeah,
of course they did.
And so it's really disappointing.
Yeah,
because I think it kind of hangs that cloud over the crypt, which was like one of the coolest things that they have done in Mortal Kombat is like when they moved all the unlockable stuff, like, oh, it's this weird crypt, and you know, if you know what to open, you might find the cool shit. And now it's like, hey,
that's like another secret to share.
Yeah,
basically.
And now it's more like, hey, there are like 3 types of currencies that you can use to open different types of chests while you're running around this crypt, and one of them is hearts, and it seems like the primary source of hearts is doing fatalities, which seems to get you 1 heart. And it costs 250 hearts to open the heart chests.
Wow.
And I've opened a few of them because you get that currency through normal play and some other ways too. Sometimes you'll get like 15 for finishing a tower, or I think you get a bunch for doing story mode. But I still, like, you know, there's a bunch of these chests. And so that's the sort of thing that, like, you know, they can lower the numbers on that, and that's what it sounds like when they're out there talking about, oh, we're going to hotfix the economy, we're going to make some changes. We hear you, we hear your feedback. Like, that only goes so far, because at the core of it, they've more or less sullied the crypt, and made it this different thing that is now subject to all of this grind.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is you can't buy that currency. I can't go buy hearts. So you can't spend money to get around it even. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't feel like a closed loop of a system. Like, the grindy part that people are complaining about is just frustrating. It's not. It doesn't even feel like it's in service of the real money shop, because the real money shop is bad. You know, you can only buy five items, and it's on a rotation,
right?
And you don't know which chest has what in it in the crypt anyway.
Exactly. If I'm grinding for something specific, I'm gonna have a lot less of a bad time than if I'm grinding for a random loot box.
Yeah, and so then, you know, you're grinding your way through the towers. Those will list specific rewards. Like, hey, if I do this, I get this.
How long is that? What is it, like an hour-ish to get through a tower?
There are, it depends. You know, it's usually a series of towers. So one I did yesterday, I think it was 4 separate towers, but one was 2 fights, one was 5, one was 8, and then one was 1 fight against a hard opponent, like sort of a boss. And then I did all that, and I got a Sub-Zero skin, and I was like, "Yay, cool!"
Can you fail out of that process, or can you keep continuing?
You can can keep continuing.
Okay,
there's a higher difficulty tier that will fail you out if you lose, but I think that's optional.
So
then there are character-specific towers also that you have to spend 25,000 of the low-level coins to even open up. So it's just, they've put all these hooks. Like, it's a game full of money sinks that I just don't think needs that.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no real harm in giving people clearer ways to unlock the stuff they want, while still saying, hey, if you don't want to do that stuff, you can give us money for the skins. Like, I think that's a fairly acceptable practice. You know, Apex is more or less, well, I guess you can't really buy the crafting shards in Apex, so you can't.
No.
So maybe you can't really.
You have to. Same thing there. You have to
buy the boxes.
Yeah,
or wait.
It has a rotating store.
Or wait for the thing you want to come up.
Huh. So I guess maybe they did that because that's the norm.
It's the new norm.
But I feel like, you know.
Don't worry, DOA is still selling costumes.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Dead or Alive.
You got $300.
Sure. Give me the wedding outfits, the sexy wedding outfits.
That's implied.
Okay. Sorry.
So
it's just it's frustrating to see, like, that whole, like, larger part. You know, aside from the story mode, like, that's the bulk of the single player content that you would play alone is tied up in all of this stuff. It's really mired in all these currencies and all this stuff, and with the modifiers in the tower sometimes being kind of a hassle, then that feels like, oh, well, now I need to get these consumables to lessen the hassle of these fights, and that doesn't feel great all the time. So it feels messy at the end of the day. Like, I think a lot of that stuff just feels like really all over the place, and it doesn't feel like this holistic, like, intelligently designed system. It feels like they just threw in a bunch of money sinks, and you know, you can kind of buy some stuff over here, but you can't buy your way out of the grind ever.
Setting aside the money shop, are predefined rewards in the towers and loot boxes in the crypt the only two ways to get drops? Like there's no other activities that will drop?
You're not like getting a random loot box every time you win 5 games
yeah,
online.
like
AI
like
battles.
okay.
You can get 10 boxes a day, or 10 sets of drops per day out of the AI battles.
Huh. Wait, are those are separate from the towers?
Yes,
Those
those are your AI fighting against other AI.
You assemble a team and you kind of tweak their behavior patterns so you can do like, you know, the stats break down to like offense, defense,
combos,
special,
reversals, like
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Yeah, like you kind of set up
combat
a rush
team.
down configuration.
Do you have to sit and watch the fights play out, or do
you can
just,
fast forward them?
Okay.
So and also you will get attacked while you're not playing, and so basically every time you come back, you can hit a button and it'll give you your 5 things for the day, because 5 other fighters have found you and fought you or whatever.
That's basically just an incentive to like log in every day.
Pretty much.
Okay. Is there anything?
There are
similar?
also daily rewards or daily quests that show up. It'll be like win 5 matches with Johnny Cage.
Okay.
And you can go knock that out anywhere across the game.
I see. And that generates rewards.
10,000 of the base level currency.
Okay.
For each one of those.
Oh, okay.
Which is not a ton. Some of those chests cost like 12 grand to open.
Does any of that tie up into? Is there any kind of equivalent of the faction war from X? Like
no, they have something called
online stuff.
I think it's called Race Against Time, Race for the Tower. There isn't one running right now. They had one running pre-release, and so there'll be a leaderboard for tower score. So any towers you play while this competition is going contributes to that score, and then they break it down. Like if you're in the top 5% of scores, you get all the rewards. If you're in top 25, you get 3 out of 4. Top 50, so you're kind of able to contribute there and do stuff. That to me is kind of similar to the faction war stuff, but it doesn't just have the faction war stuff per se.
Okay.
I really like the game a lot. I think it looks fantastic. I think it is a ton of fun. I think the fighting systems and stuff are really, really smart. I think the changes they made, even over like Injustice 2, which is it's kind of a different thing, but just the approach they've taken here, I think is the best work they've done in a long time.
Just in the terms of the core fighting?
Yeah. And I think the story is amazing. Like I really had just a fantastic time watching it unfold.
That sounds super exciting.
And then all this other stuff is just kind of wrapped up.
There's a bad taste in it.
That's unfortunate. I mean, it sounds like practically every other game like this, they will massage it out over time, hopefully.
We'll see, because that's the thing. They were very quick. I think even yesterday, technically before the game was out, they were like, "Hey, we're looking to adjust this stuff."
So, I mean, it's hard to say without knowing what they're going to do, but would you almost recommend like people not spend any of their currency until they make those changes?
Because they're probably going to lower the cost of stuff.
Or even worse, do you think you'll maybe start getting more rewards, so you should just wait to play the game at all until that stuff goes in?
No, the
like
rewards
if
you
it's
get
like,
for leveling up and stuff, I bet won't change.
Or like
much.
currency that comes out of the story mode or anything
I
like
bet
that?
they won't.
Because like it would be a huge bummer to play through the story mode and then the next day they're like, hey, we doubled the amount of coins you get out of the story mode or something like that.
I bet they'll just lower prices and then also maybe give people, here's 50,000 coins.
Right. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
they have to be
can,
smart enough
they can
not
even
to,
it out that way.
not to screw over the early adopters.
But yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, that's kind of
because like you see it and you go like, if this was just, and that's why I don't think like them adjusting the numbers will have like a dramatic impact on my feelings on this, because even if it was easier to unlock more of it, like that's fine, but it's still
randomized.
Yeah, like the crypt is still in service of this system, whereas before it felt like its own cool thing. Now it really feels like, hey, we would like to build this big money sink, and maybe you buy stuff in the store, or even though the store is not good.
I really want to run around that island though.
It's cool. It's awesome. Like that's kind of the other thing is like the crypt itself, like running around Shang Tsung's island and seeing like these renditions of these MK1 stages and stuff. It's awesome.
Like messing with the 9 and 10 crypts over the weekend, like they're fine, but they're just kind of generic graveyards or whatever. Like for this to be like nostalgic in nature.
It's super well done.
It's awesome.
And that's, I think, why it's maybe even more of a bummer that it's kind of wrapped up.
I also, thanks to our moderator Marino, I ended up on an archive of rat.org over the weekend.
Oh, wow.
So that is just a huge reminder of how much like trading secrets and passing around like urban legends has been a part of Mortal Kombat for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, to lose that aspect of it is a real shame.
Yeah, yeah, and they've done some minor stuff where, like, every character has 2 like normal fatalities. The first one is listed in the move list right out of the gate. The second one is not. If you find it in the crypt, that makes it show in the move list.
Okay, but you can still do it.
You can still do it if you know it. And I want to say I should go back and check, but I'm pretty sure if you did the move in X, even though you hadn't unlocked it, it just started showing it on the move list after that.
Okay.
This does not.
Oh, weird.
So you always have to memorize that second fatality input.
It's got to print out your move list.
I guess so. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, there's still value in printing out a move list because they don't tell you what all the brutalities are either. It sounds like that there will be some brutalities you can only do after a mercy, which is, potentially exciting.
Have there been any friendships in any of these 3 games, the most recent ones?
Yeah. What about babalities?
There's babalities. They did babalities.
That was always...
Animalities?
No. I don't.
How do you not do friendships?
Are there friendships in 9?
No, I don't think so. I don't know for sure, but I don't remember there being.
Yeah, friendships are cool because they're unique, and babalities
are
just
the same thing every
not
time.
that cool because it's just the same thing every time. Yeah.
Where's Kid Thunder?
Where is Kid Thunder? That's a great question. Where? Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Evil Kid Thunder.